This is the Illimitable Experience podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience podcast. If you're watching this video, like this video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe to the channel. And overall, we guys like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are posting great content regularly. With that, today we have as our guest Raj Ghosalkar, who is let's just start with your introduction first, I would say. Hi Raj, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. So Raj, we met on LinkedIn, and I
Yeah.
was fascinated to see that you are a content writer for MMA India,
Yeah.
and you also practice MMA and have been practicing MMA. So can you tell me about yourself? About how did this come to happen?
How did this come to happen? It's a big story, but it's also a very normal one, I guess, for every content writer who's maybe got into MMA. How it happened is this is like a basic thing in India for every guy growing up, maybe, is starting watch WWE. That's how you start and get into combat sports, maybe. So I started in as a big WWE fan. Slowly and eventually I got to know about MMA. That's through Brock Lesnar, because he came into WWE after becoming an UFC heavyweight champion. So I was like fascinated by who's this guy, who's this new champion here. So I tuned into MMA. I got to know about UFC, and I guess it was in 2012-13. And since then, I just like got fascinated by this sport, and I was like, this is something I need to watch regularly. And by the time I was also mature enough to know that WWE is not real, so I had to watch MMA. And then from that era was basically owned by Conor McGregor's arrival into the UFC. So there was no
Right.
way I wasn't going to like it. So
Yeah,
obviously
that
we
was
got
back in
yeah,
2014, if
yeah,
I'm not
13,
wrong.
14. Yeah, that's when he came into UFC. And I just started watching it, and I was always into combat sports. Like I always wanted to do karate, I did taekwondo, I did boxing. I never got uh I kind of had interest in it, but it didn't just felt something. But then when I got to know about MMA, I was like, now, dude, this is what I want to learn. This is the skill I want to have in my arsenal. So I started practicing boxing in 2015. I did that for 2 years. By that time, I completed my 12th standard, and now after my 12th standard, I thought like, now this is a serious time where you think about your career and stuff. So I was like, I have to do something that is going to be related to MMA. I started practicing MMA in Bombay. I did that did it for one gym, and then I started switch gyms also, try to get experience with different coaches. At that same time, I was also pursuing bachelor's in journalism and communication, because I was into good at talking and writing. So I thought maybe I could work something of it. And then I was doing good at MMA. Slowly started I getting better. I won district championships, I won states, and then I slowly went for the nationals. By that same period, I was also practicing content writing, and I started getting interest. The moment I got graduated, till then I was already a good MMA fighter. I fought at nationals. I won silver medal there also. And when the
Wow.
choice, yeah, when the choice came, see, now I have to focus on. I was like, whatever career I'll be choosing, I want it to be around MMA. I didn't want it to write content for any company, or didn't want to write to company for any product or something like that. There are lots of content writing options. So like I want to stick to sports, and in sports precisely I want to write for MMA, because that's where my heart belongs to. There was no other option for me, and I was like, this is what I like, this is what I love, and this is what I want to be good at also. And that's how I joined MMA India after my graduation. I applied there, they hired me for an internships, and now I work there as a permanent content writer. So that's how the journey began in the
Wow.
content writing
This
industry.
is so
And
great. I
yeah,
mean, you have had the exposure of learning karate, also taekwondo,
taekwondo,
and
boxing, and then MMA.
boxing, and now you're doing MMA. So how long has it been since you are practicing combat sport? कितना साल हो गया ये चीज को?
Like it's been 5 years now.
So in 5 years, you have had the experience of all these
All
combat
these
sports,
things,
right?
yeah. I
Wow,
started
that's
started with karate, but I didn't like it that much because it was just punches and kicks. I wanted to do more about it. I joined Taekwondo, but then it was just about kicks. And it was just it wasn't something appealing to me. I obviously loved boxing, but again, that was also one-dimensional sport. We are just about to hit punches. We are not about to use entire our body. And what I love about MMA is every part of your body is a weapon in MMA. You can use it to hurt your opponent. That's what gives you a good advantage. That's all I
Right,
can say.
right, 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 right. That's true. So this is our second episode with for the MMA series,
Yeah,
and even the first guest who had come, he was in speaking in these lines only, saying that MMA is that sport where you can use any part of your body
yeah.
in the match, because
Match, yeah.
boxing is always just two-dimensional. I
Punches,
mean
yeah.
one-dimensional. Except
One
punches
dimensional.
maro and ho jayega.
So yeah,
But yeah, this is a really great way to
yeah,
upgrade yourself from karate,
that's true.
taekwondo, and now you're doing MMA.
Yeah,
Wow, wow! And you said that you have already won medals as well. So can you tell me
yeah.
more about your competition and which competition you participated?
Yeah, there are competitions of MMA at district level where few organizations come in, and it's also under the Indian organizations. So they have these small tournaments of district level, state level where I participated and I won. And then the big thing came was the Body Power MMA Championship, which usually happens once a year in January to March period. It's in Bombay. It's always in the different cities. It's in Bombay, Delhi, most major cities of the India. So when it was in 2019, it was in Mumbai. So I participated. It's an open tournament where you get to fight lots of fights in a single day. So that was a great thing for me to learn because the tournament starts around 9 a.m. in the morning, and
Hmm.
then around 1 to 2 in the afternoon you finish your tournament. It's just, but at that time you have to fight around 4 to 5 fights in a single 3 4 hour span. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing great thing you get to learn is to quickly adapt to your opponents. There's no time for you to think of who am I gonna fight next. It just keeps happening after half an hour and after 1 hour spans. So in my
Hmm.
tournament, there are a few, there are not perfect numbers of fighters coming. So few people get even buys gets, few will get passed to next round without even fights.
Acha.
So luckily or unluckily, I don't know. I never got a pass. I had to fight all of my fights. So I fought, I guess, 5 fights till I got to the finals. So
Wow.
yeah, it was in just 3 4 hours of span where I had to fight. And I still remember while going into this tournament, the thing for me, it was like my dad is very, he's into sports that much. So he likes me. He never comes to watch me. But he's a big MMA fan. I've made him a big MMA fan. So he was like, when you're fighting for nationals, it's a big thing for you. Just don't lose in the first round and come back home. Do something at least. So that for passing, for me to go get through that first round was very much important. And I fought a guy from Delhi who was quite taller than me, so he could have easily reached me. So I was like, no, now this is a big fight. If I could beat this guy from, I can maybe, I can go ahead also in this tournament because he was a very tough challenge. And I somehow took him down, and using my takedowns and grappling skills, I won that fight. And then the next 3 4 fights were very easy, I guess. I just build up, you get that one win and you have that confidence for the rest of the tournament. And I just had that until I reached the finals where I fought a guy from Hyderabad. He was kind of shorter than me, so I was full of confidence. I was like, no, I can beat this guy. But the moment the fight starts, he just shook me everywhere. He took me down. He threw punches, and I was like, damn, this is the real competition, and this is the real deal. So I lost the first round. I won the second round. I took him down. The third round was very competitive. And even after the 3 rounds, the judges were not sure who was the winner. So we even have to fight for the fourth round. And in the fourth
Right.
round, it was just very quick. We get around 30 to 45 seconds, and we have to land the first strike. The first person to land a strike wins that round and just wins the fight also. So I just, in that quick, 5 to 10 seconds of time which you get in after the last round, I didn't knew what I have to throw, first kick or first throw. And the referee said, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready," basically. And he said, "Fight," and I just couldn't figure out should I. And I threw something I don't even knew what I threw, and it just missed for him like 1 inches, and he landed a strike very quickly, and I lost that fight. I was like, yeah, it was a close one. We both give our best, and
Yeah.
he was a better fighter that day. There's nothing like that. He was a better guy.
Right, right, right. So you
That
won
was a great
you
experience.
won the silver medal in this
Yeah, I won the silver
competition.
medal. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing, man. I mean, I'm late to congratulate, but congratulations to you.
Thanks, thanks.
Wow. And which is the other competition you participated in?
Those are the state level and district level tournaments. Those were pretty easy there. And there are some inter gym tournaments also where 2-3 gyms of MMA gyms around the city combine and have fights between their fighters. So those don't come under your records usually.
Oh, right. So
So
national level, you have won a silver medal.
yeah, national level is silver medal, which is a good.
Wow. Wow. And this is after how many years of training you won
This
this medal?
is of like I have trained in combat sports for in 2019 it was, so it was like 4 years of experience, but it was just 2 3 years of proper MMA training. I went for the national.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, the coach also showed that great faith in you.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
nahi,
actually
matlab,
showed a great faith in me. He was like, do you want to fight? I was like, I don't mind losing, obviously. I'm definitely gonna fight. So he was like, just go in, let's get a great experience, which I definitely got. Like it's a great thing, you learn many things in the sports. It's not just about fighting and the fighting skills. You just learn about sportsmanship, you learn about how to adapt, being under pressure. I'll tell you about the body power. It's the biggest tournament happens in India, usually for the amateurs and not the pro fighters, but the amateur fighters. Nearly 2,000 fighters come that day.
wow. And where does this
It's a,
happen?
it happens in Goregaon. It's a sports complex in Goregaon. It's a police training ground in Goregaon. That's where it
Hmm.
happens. It's a very big event. Big celebrities come, and it's a fitness exposure. All those things that happen there.
Wow.
It's a big event. It's body
It's a
power MMA
big event. I mean, I have gotten to, taken interest in MMA only about a year, and I wasn't aware कि इंडिया में इतना सारी चीजें MMA के related चल रही है. And
Yeah.
now that you're telling me all these things that are competitions take place in Goregaon or competition take place in this city, that city, it's really interesting that such a sport which is taken as a violent sport is really growing in India. And people have a
Actually,
very different perception of such combat sports. कि अरे मारा मारी
yeah.
क्यों कर रहे हैं लोग पागलों जैसे. But people are making money out of it and it is
Yeah,
legit. So
people are. It's a
that's
big thing.
really great.
It's gonna take a lot of time to get it into the major leagues for some of the fighters. But yeah, it will. People are eventually growing interest in MMA, which is a great thing. Great thing for
Right.
everyone who's around the MMA business. That's a nice thing. People are taking an interest, even as self-defense or to make a career out of it, or just to learn something. It's a great skill. As one of the famous podcasters, Joe Rogan, usually quotes, MMA is a skill that everybody, mixed martial arts is basically the skill everybody should possess. It's just not about fighting, but you should be able to defend yourself if anything goes wrong to you. Either be a boy or a girl or just a human should know to defend themselves. It's a great thing to have.
That's the right way to put it, that everybody
Yeah.
should know how to protect
Yeah.
themselves. Right. Right. So, Raj, how you are working at MMA India, right?
Yeah,
Writing
MMA writing.
articles for
Yeah.
them. So, how did you get selected at
Yeah.
MMA India?
After I during the lockdown hit, I still had to give my final exams. I didn't have to put in the exams were cancelled obviously due to the pandemic hit. So during that time, I was like looking for internships or somewhere to start. So obviously, I knew that I've
Hmm.
had the content writing and skill. So I was like, yeah, I should hit some workplace or some blog spots or anywhere I could write articles for or do something in the writing field. So obviously, the first focus was MMA India. So I just hit them up on the site key, this is my resume and this is what I want to do. And I told them everything about. They gave me some sample articles to write, which I wrote, which they liked, and they told me you can have you on board as an intern in the beginning, because I definitely knew what to write in MMA, what are the fighters. I definitely knew everything, but
Hmm.
the things to write on those particular softwares that I needed to know, and that's what they gave me an opportunity to learn, thanks to them. And since then we just took off.
Wow. So it's been like more than a year since you have been
Yeah, more
working
than
for
a year
MMA
and more
India.
than I've wrote,
Wow.
I guess,
That's
1,000+ articles for them.
this is, I would say that not many people get the chance to work in exact field that they want to
Yeah,
work.
that is true.
And I think you're really lucky to be working in a sport that you love.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
practiced, you have won the medal, and now you are working for MMA India.
yeah,
That's really great, man. I'm so
yeah.
happy for you. And
Thanks.
yeah, I do have when we connected, you had sent me the link as well of your
Yeah,
articles, and I did read a few articles about your, and it
yeah,
is like they're short and crisp,
yeah,
and I really like them. And it is
yeah,
commendable that you have written nearly 1,000 articles for MMA India.
yeah. As I told you, like how I write articles, usually other content writers, what they try to, put some very difficult words for a normal MMA fan to get. They try to put difficult
Hmm.
words or something, they try to exaggerate the words, put it in a very beautiful manner. Obviously, it looks beautiful to hear and look, but MMA is a simple sport. So let's put it out in a simple words that people usually hear. You don't want to put some very extra. It's not a poetic thing is happening or some beautiful. It's not a beautiful thing. These are violent people doing violent stuff to each other. So put it in a brutal manner so everybody understands what's happening actually. That's how I write articles. I keep it very very simple. I don't try to
Hmm.
put some out of the box words. I try basic words which usually people hear, and obviously the technical aspects which I'm very good at actually. I know the technical aspect of the fighting, how they are fighting, or what the technical moves are called. And
Hmm.
that's what makes the articles good.
Right. So this is what I would say. Yeah, this is really, it gives you a competitive advantage as well,
Yeah,
since you have already worked, practiced MMA for such a long time. Your opinions can be taken seriously,
yeah,
that
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
writing is legit, because
yeah,
this happens. I don't know who does that, or what, to what extent is there. People just hire few freelancers for content
yeah,
writing. They do some random research, pick up
yeah,
the heavy words, just like you said, कि
yeah.
किधर पे गुलेटिन डाल दिया, किधर TKO डाल दिया, किधर KO डाल दिया, and then they just publish the articles.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not the way.
yeah,
And
right.
obviously the readers base is most going to be from India. So you don't if you want to make them have interest in the articles or interest in the sport, or you want to attract them to the site, this is how you should put it. Usually you should put it in a very simple manner, which is, people try to write it in a writing way, which is the proper how we learn it on a learning aspect. But the article should be in a conversation type of way, where I am telling
Hmm.
you a story, just like we are talking. The article should speak up to the writer. You should
Right.
feel like, yeah, I'm not just reading something that somebody has wrote sitting at his home. It should feel like, yes, I'm talking to someone who knows something about a sport, and I'm just getting some information out of it. That's how you
Hmm.
can build up an audience for your articles or your site. That's the
That's
simple
very
way to
well
put
put.
it out.
That the article has to look like it's like comment. There is a live commentary happening,
Yeah,
although the
live
match has
commentary
already
happening, you should
taken.
know, huh?
Right. So I had this question, Raj, that now that you are working for MMA India, have you ever tried trying to become a commentator for MMA?
Yeah, I am well looking forward to it. I still haven't got any opportunity because I started during the pandemic season, and the MMA scene in India is not yet opened out to the audience. So yeah, slowly, I would be interested in it, and the opportunity will arise. I'll definitely grab it with both of my hands and
That
legs. Won't shy away
I'll
from it.
be
Yeah, it would
I'll
be
be
fun to
looking forward
listen
to
you. Yeah,
I'll be looking forward to the day when you are holding that mic and commentating for UFC so and so, and
yeah.
then back of the mind I'm like, I know this person. This person was on my podcast
Thanks.
a long time ago.
Yeah,
It's really great, man. So it is a coincidence today that today's UFC 267 night,
yeah. It's UFC
and at the
267.
same time we are recording this episode today, so it's like
Yeah,
that stars aligned in
yeah.
such
It's
a way that
actually true. We got
it
something more to
happened.
discuss about.
Yeah, something more to discuss about it. So what is on the rooster today, and who do you
Yeah,
think is really going to win in the matches?
the, I'll start basically with the fight which I'm very much looking forward to. UFC 267 is happening today night. Actually, it's around 12:30, and happening in Abu Dhabi, the fight island
Right.
capital which UFC hired. UFC bought those island during the pandemic because the entire world was And it was a very proud moment for the entire MMA community, how UFC and UFC's president Dana White pulled all those events during the pandemic, because nothing was happening. Big sports, big soccer leagues, basketball leagues, everything was closed, and MMA was the only sport which was working out. All the international borders were obviously closed, but Abu Dhabi and Dubai and UAE management, obviously they called UFC. They had their things, and they decided both that we could do events in a proper security, bio bubble where nothing, not at all, not a single person outside the community would be allowed. Everybody related to that match or everybody related to that event was only allowed in that Abu Dhabi bio bubble circle. So they made so many events, and after a long time, I guess it's last event, I don't know, I guess it was McGregor's event, which happened in a Fight Island. I guess after that, this is the next event, because in
No,
recent times,
last year, if I'm not wrong, it can be possible that it was Conor versus Dustin. That can be
Poirier,
the
yeah.
last match, but I guess it was Khabib versus Justin that took place last October.
No, I guess that was UFC 254, which Khabib and Gaethje put on. And after that, McGregor happened in UFC 257. So obviously that would be the last, I guess.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Can
Yeah,
be,
that
can
would,
be a
yeah,
possibility.
I guess. And after
Yeah.
that, I guess
So
this
you
is
just
the event.
you just told me that it is only last year that UFC have purchased its rights in Abu Dhabi. So
Yeah.
before that, no UFC fights were taking place in UAE. That's what you're saying?
I guess so. Yeah, the Yas Island, the concept was brought up specifically for during COVID-19, because those were the only people who were allowed UFC to conduct events there, because they had everything, every restrictions possible, and they had the finances and facilities to make that event happen. So I guess there was no mishap in those events. Few people did got COVID positive, but they handled it. Abu Dhabi government and everybody handling those events handled it very professionally. Nothing happened.
Yeah. So yeah, today's UFC 267, and which is the
267.
match that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to is the lightweight matchup between Dan Hooker and Islam Makhachev. That is the interesting fight. To those who don't know, should definitely know that Islam Makhachev is the best friend,
Khabib's cousin.
and also Khabib's cousin is related to Khabib. And those guys are everybody who comes out of Dagestan, Russia, and is around Khabib is good. You can't deny those fighters. And Islam was supposed to fight Rafael dos Santos, who's the former lightweight champion in the UFC. Their fight was, I guess, scheduled 3-4 times previously, but it never took place. Both of the fighters usually got injured or the COVID hit. So Dan, he was supposed to fight Rafael in this event also, but just 1 month prior, Rafael, I guess, got some injuries during the training, and Dan Hooker is props to him, salute to him the way he is doing, because Dan Hooker comes from New Zealand, and it takes them nearly whenever they go back, they have to stay 2 to 3 weeks in quarantine. When they come back, they have to do. It's nearly takes 1 month out of his life every time when he comes to fight or goes to fight. And he was supposed to go back there, but he knew after he just fought at UFC 266 and defeated, and he won the fight at UFC 266. And he was supposed to go home, but the moment he got the news that Rafael is pulled out of the fight, he just stepped up, and he decided instead of going home and wasting another month just being quarantined, he was like, I would supposed to fight Islam, because Islam is a top 5 lightweight at the moment. So if he defeats Islam, it would be a great opportunity for Dan to crack into the top 5 again. But it's gonna be a hell of a challenge to defeat Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev is one hell of a fighter.
He looks scary. Yes, he's one hell of a fighter,
scary.
and he looks scary, man. He does look scary. He's just there to just purely smash, nothing.
Yeah. Lots of people around Khabib have been, saying that Islam is slight of even a better version of Khabib, because Khabib was always known for his grappling. He was a pure grappler. He never shied away, denied that fact that he's gonna take you down. But Islam also has got knockout power in that. Islam has great striking, and not just striking, but what makes him better than Khabib is people sometimes hit McGregor hit a lot of punches on Khabib. And even Justin Gaethje landed many of shots, but Islam Makhachev is one of those fighters who get least hit in a fight. He doesn't get hit that much, so that gives him edge. So if you ask me, I am rooting for Islam, and I feel that Islam would get this win, but I won't be shocked if Dan Hooker pulls something out. He's a great guy.
Right. Even I'm rooting for Islam at the same time today because I've seen a few glimpses of his fight in YouTube. And right, that's rightly said that, he is not only a grappler, but he's a striker as well. And that
Yeah,
is what
true.
can be expected. It's
Another
quite
fight.
Intimidating of him,
Yeah, he's a
to
very
have a look
intimidating.
at
Those
him.
guys,
Yeah,
every
from
guy comes from
Dagestan.
Pakistan is an intimidating fighter.
True. Scary.
Yeah,
And
the
which is
another
the
fight which
other?
is the co-main event, obviously. They got a great lineup. Another is one of those in the main card is Khamzat Chimaev versus Lee. He's from Korea, I guess, Lee.
Yeah, we can
So
have a look at
Khamzat,
the rooster. Just wait.
yeah,
Yeah, Dave, can you pull up UFC 267 rooster?
yeah,
This is the main event.
yeah. This is the main event, and there's also the co-main event. Yeah, come down
Here
a
we
little
go.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, come down
So
a little bit. Yeah, more. Yeah, this is the fight I was talking about. Just stop.
this one,
Yeah, yeah.
Jingli
Li
and
Jingliang. Jingliang.
okay.
He's a great fighter. He's a very good. He
Hmm.
comes out of Korea, I guess, most probably. And what is Khamzat Chimaev? To those who people who don't know Khamzat Chimaev is one of the hottest prospect in the MMA game at this moment. He is from Russia, I guess. Czech Republic is, I don't exactly remember where he's from, but he is one of the breakout stars who came out during the COVID period where UFC was doing lots of fights in Abu Dhabi Yas Islands.
Okay.
So
So is
this
he
guy
related to Khabib? Yeah.
no, he's not
This
related to
Chima.
Khabib. Yeah, but his fighting style does, would replicate Khabib because he's also a great grappler and tries to smash people. That's what he says. He's just here to smash, just like Khabib. So this guy is amazing. He got into the UFC in 2020, and in mere 2 days, he fought 2 fights in just mere 10 days and won both of them in the second and the first round. And then he fought a really good guy in UFC. I don't remember his name. So he defeated him in just one punch. First round, early 1 minute knockout he just got. So he's 3-0 in the UFC at this moment, and he was supposed to fight Leon Edwards, who's the top welterweight contender. But their fight also couldn't happen. Every time it just falled off due to COVID because he suffered from a serious COVID infection, and he even thought of retiring with a very early stage. He was thinking of retiring, but his people around him told him to not do so. And now he's back. It's going to be a tough fight if he gets the win because we can see that he's the number 11 ranked welterweight fighter. So if he gets the win, he'll definitely get a crack into the top 15 welterweight. That's the thing, and it's going to be a tough fight. It's really hard to predict that Khamzat might get. It's like a 55-45 chance. 55 towards Khamzat and 45 towards Lee, but Lee has a very good stand-up. He has a great stand-up, better than Khamzat definitely. Dave is like that Jimmy in the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. Jimmy, can you just pull that up? Yeah, just go up. Yeah, just stop there. Yeah, down. Yeah, just stop there. So this is the co-main event, the bantamweight championship fight. It's the interim bantamweight championship, but the champion has been injured for a quite long, so people are considering this fight as the real championship fight. I'll tell you some background about why this fight is happening. For people who don't know, Peter Yan was the former bantamweight champion, and he fought the top contender by that time at UFC 259. He fought Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight championship. That was his first title defense, but he was winning the fight. It was going a back and forth fight. He's known for purely his boxing, and Aljamain Sterling is known for his grappling, but he even out-grappled Aljamain entire 4 rounds. He was winning that fight, but in fourth round, what happened is he had some miscommunications between him and his corner, and when Aljamain fall down on the mat, he was on his both knees, and when an opponent is on his both knees and his hands are on the ground, you are not supposed to hit them with a knee. And due to some wrong advice, which we are not sure about, his corner never clarified that actually precisely, but he got some wrong advice and he threw a knee, and Aljamain got hit, which wasn't very hard knee actually. It was just an average knee. which you can get. Obviously, MMA fighters are supposed to eat those knees.
Need that type of fire.
Yeah, but Aljamain was very smart. He knew that it was an illegal knee, and if he denied to continue the fight, he would eventually. Peter Yan got disqualified, and Aljamain became the new champion.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he just played it smart, and Aljamain is actually a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's among the top bantamweights at this moment. But what he pulled out at that fight, because he never won the fight, but he just got the belt away just because of the disqualification. He got a lot of hate after that. And these guys were supposed to fight again, but Aljamain has been injured for nearly a year now. So, he's not fighting. And he was supposed to fight here, but he pulled out due to a neck surgery, which many people think maybe previous injuries or something like that. And Peter Yan was supposed to fight the former champion TJ Dillashaw, who's just back after 2 years of suspension. But he also is dealing with some injuries, and Corey Sandhagen just fought TJ Dillashaw in a very close matchup with TJ won by decision. But Corey decided that he can just 1 month notice. Corey is ready to step up and fight Peter, and it's going to be a back and forth war. I can definitely feel that this is either going to be an early win for anybody, but I feel that this is going to be a back and forth fight because they are evenly matched. Peter Yan is known for his elite striking. He comes from a great boxing background, and Corey Sandhagen has the height advantage and a very good, great skill set to match up with.
So you are routing for Peter Yan in this one.
You can say, yeah, that's what, because he deserves to get that interim title. He has a great.
Let's see the next match. Dave, can you scroll down?
Yeah. Scroll up, yes, scroll up.
Yeah. So and this one you're.
Yeah, the final, the main event.
Okay, this is the main event.
Yeah.
Or this one, Blachowicz versus.
It's Jan. His name is Jan Blachowicz, and this is Global Teixeira. So this is an interesting matchup where the champion, and in UFC usually champions fought the top guys in the division, but it's only a few times when the champion actually fights the number one contender in the division. The guy right next after the champion is the number one contender, which at this moment is Global Teixeira. These guys fight in the 205 pounds category, which is 90 kgs, I guess. So these guys are good. These both are evenly matched.
Oh, so this is going to be a balanced fight or a tough one, I would say.
Yeah, it is a tough one to predict also, and both the fighters are capable of doing damage to each other. Glover has the wrestling and grappling advantage over Yan, but Yan has the striking advantage over him. And it's these are the fighters that nobody hate, so you can't say, yeah, I'll just gonna pick Yan. I want him to win. I don't want Glover to win. But Glover this is Glover's second title fight. He fought for the UFC 205 pounds title.
You're talking about Teixeira, right? Glover Teixeira.
Global Teixeira. So he fought John Jones, and he lost in the title fight previous opportunity when he got to fight for the belt. And he's, I guess, 44 years old. I don't know. 44 nearly.
Wow, at 44 and he's still fighting.
Yeah, he's still fighting. He still wants to get that belt. And Yan is also pretty old. He's in his late 30s, I guess. So this is our two fighters, two veterans of the division who have went through a lot of. They have got a great MMA experience between them. So this is a evenly matched fight. So it's hard to predict. If I had to
can you
pick
scroll
anyone,
down? Scroll down. And okay, this is the main event, right? And the first one. And between Islam and Hooker, who are you rooting for?
Yeah, I'm rooting for Islam.
Islam on this one, right? I mean, there's a huge difference of odds as well.
Yeah, a huge difference of odds. If Hooker does it, somebody's gonna make a lot of money.
Scroll down there. And in this one, Volkov versus
this is a heavyweight fight. Yeah, this is again a good fight. I'll pick Alexander Volkov because he's got a great experience. He comes from a very elite kickboxing background, and he has been fighting in the kickboxing world for a long time, and then he got into the UFC, and he's a former champion in other organizations also. And I guess Alexander Volkov would get it done. People are feeling that he's at the tail end of his career, but I don't think so. He'll get the job done, I guess, against Marcin Tybura. Marcin has a great power in his hands, but I don't think so he would be able to hang with Alexander at this level.
They scroll down. This one it is, and this one on Ankalaev versus.
Is again an interesting fight. Volkan Ozdemir is a former title challenger, which people usually forget, and he has been off the limelight for a long time. He fought Daniel Cormier, I guess, for the light heavyweight championship, but he lost it. And since then, he has been, on a great streak. Where Magomed Ankalaev has been, the ones who are rising slowly, slowly. He might face one or two losses, but he just comes back. He knows how to comes back. So I guess he's on a positive winning streak. So I might feel he would get this win over Walker. This is
Wow.
a Magomed
So
might.
this rooster looks great, and
Yeah.
we'll be looking forward to see what are the final results depending on your predictions. I would say, or
Prediction.
who are you rooting for?
Yeah.
Islam is gonna make it in the second round itself, like he'll win. But yeah, that's a great prediction, I would say. So
I hope I get
Raj,
it.
I'll text you after after the event ends. Right.
Yeah.
So Raj, you have practiced MMA in India for 5 years, and you're also now associated with MMA India.
Yeah.
What do you see is the reality, or the future of MMA in India? How does the MMA community function in India? I mean to ask.
I'll be honest. I'll be maybe not too brutally honest also, because I come from that same industry. It's I'll just put it out in similar words. It's gonna take lots of efforts, lots of genuine people to step forward to take the MMA industry ahead in India. People who just want to make money would make money, because it's among the costly. It's among the costliest sport in India at this
Costliest
moment.
sport,
MMA.
right?
Yeah. So if people who just come in the industry to make money, it's the MMA scene is not gonna get bigger. People are gonna fight, but the real fighters who need opportunity to go ahead to fight in big organizations, money making would eventually stop their opportunities going ahead. So genuine people, genuine investors who have the finances and have the power in their hand, who could change the scene, should step forward and take interest in this. Just like cricket got a great boom in India after IPL. The Pro Kabaddi League is out there for the kabaddis. So I feel there are few events happening in India, but some proper genuine investor needs to step forward, and the fighters need to understand that if they want to make it into a big scene, they'll have to struggle for many years. They shouldn't just get satisfied. Now I'm earning good pay. I'm getting 25,000 for a fight, or maybe 50,000 for a fight. I'll just make a living out of it. Let's not get settled there. Look at the big pictures. Even if you go and lose a fight in UFC, they would nearly pay you around 8 lakhs rupees in Indian money. So that's a big
Wow.
amount. So it's So if you want to make it into big scene, if you work that hard. If you get into UFC, there's lots of opportunities ahead, and you shouldn't just get settled there. I'm making some money. I have gyms here. I'm coaching here, so I'm doing good. I'll just be happy doing this. They should look forward to fight ahead, to take the opportunities. Go out of the country if they have the enough money. They should go out of the country, fight in fight for some foreign gyms, train with them, get their chances. There are few fighters from India who are training at this moment in US, but
Like
I don't know.
who is training in US?
I don't know proper exact names, but I know a few people who are doing this at this moment. They are yet
Okay.
to come into the big scene. They haven't made it there. They haven't fought somewhere in big level so that people would know their names, but they are doing that. I know few fighters who are actually doing this type of thing. So I feel if they work hard, they might get it into UFC or at least one FC. And many Indian fighters, I
Yeah, so matlab MMA ka scene is like people have to get real serious about the sport.
people have to get serious. I guess how
Mm.
Indian fighters come from not that great background, but they aren't the only ones. Many fighters in the UFC have most of the fighters in the UFC have a very hard upbringing, tough upbringing, where they have to fight their way up till the UFC level. So, but they never got satisfied. The biggest example I could easily give out is a Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor worked as a plumber in his early days. He had to buy money for his MMA training from his girlfriend, who was having a good job at that time. They struggled. They never got satisfied. But till before even he went to the UFC, he was living off Irish welfares. When he got to the UFC, he made it. First fight only he won the $50,000 bonus by when he got the knockout. So, that's the thing. That those fighters never got satisfied. That's what Indian fighters need to do. They don't need to. They shouldn't just stop where they are at this. They should try to make it to the big league.
Right.
That's I would
So
say.
how is the sport growing in the country? Like, are there any events like a cricket के लिए कैसा IPL है and कबड्डी के लिए pro कबड्डी है? So how is the sport
Yeah.
growing in
The
these
sport
terms?
in India has been growing in MMA is going very rapidly at this moment and steadily. There are people who have money, like I would just name it. Matrix Fight Night, owned by Tiger Shroff, is the biggest MMA event that's happening in India at this moment. They are doing regular events since last 1 year, I guess. They have done 6 events, many in India and few in Dubai also. During the last 1 year of lockdown, they did 2 MMA events in Dubai, which were very successful. Lots of Indian fighters got the exposure to fight, guys from abroad, and they fought guys from Iran, Iraq, Pakistan. Many fighters were in those tournaments, so they got a great exposure to fight against top fighters from the other countries also. So Matrix Fight, and there are also some local MMA tournaments happening in Maharashtra and every state, I guess, has their own small leagues where MMA fighters are getting this opportunity, which is a great thing. I guess this is what they need, but as I said, some big investors needs to come out and step up their game and put some money into the MMA. That's all they need. And just give Indian MMA fighters a security that you go ahead, we are here to handle all of your finances, and you just give your best in the
Finance.
training. That's all they need. The
Right.
Matrix Fight Night is the biggest thing happening in India at this moment. So previously it was SFL, Super Fight League, so which hasn't happened in last few years actually. I'll just check when was the last SFL happened.
You want to check?
Yeah, I'll just check. I'm checking.
We'll ask Dev only to pull up. Dev, can you search last or latest SFL fight?
Yeah, SFL fight. Just come down.
Scroll.
Yeah, Super Fight League. Yeah, can you just open this site? Let's see. SFL is an Indian organization. It came out as not as a how UFC works, where people are different weight categories and different fighters, which events happen every month.
Damn.
Yeah.
Where was this
Yeah,
happening?
This happens in Bombay and in all over India.
503 bouts, 82 fights. Never stopped
It
fighting.
happened as a league where rich people from India bought many teams, and every team had different fighters from different weight categories, and they were supposed to fight each other. And by the end of the times, a single team would win, with most of the fighters of its winning most of the fights in the tournament.
Oh wow! So ma'am, I wasn't aware of this at all. I'm seeing this for the first time, and I can see those actors and people. Wow! So this is like how I'm seeing this now is see, just like we said before, that in India, such combat sport is looked at as a very violent sport. कि मारामारी लोग क्यों कर रहे हैं? First, so even the actors जिनका पैसा लगा हुआ है उसमें, they aren't promoting those themselves.
Yeah.
Right, because they don't want to come off as we are promoting violence. Although on the sidelines these things are happening. Tiger Shroff ने कर दिया. I could see Ajay Devgan is there, and few more actors are there. So maybe it's happening at a very rapid pace, but उनका जो publicity है वो इतना नहीं होता है कि जितना IPL का होता है या जितना ISL का हो रहा है, प्रो कबड्डी का हो रहा है. Right.
This is
Really
where
interesting.
the MMA scene needs to get changed. Just few people by it would happen. I guess I can say by 2025 MMA will be very big in India, because lots of like how you got introduced to, lots of people in India are introduced to MMA. India's biggest sports person, not just India's, but among the world biggest sports person, Virat Kohli is himself a big fan of UFC, and he's a big fan of Conor McGregor. So people get to know about all this thing. So now Conor McGregor is a famous name in India, It's not a very rare name that people won't know. It's a very famous name. Lots of people know about him, even though they don't know where he fights or where is he from. But people usually consider him as, he's a big MMA fighter. People doesn't know don't know the current scene, obviously, but yeah, people feel he is some big fighter in the world.
He's some big, yeah, big time, right?
Big time, yeah, he's big time. He was a big time, definitely. Yeah, post Conor. We are into the
Right.
post Conor McGregor era now.
Right. Now I guess it's whose era are we living in right now? Because Khabib retired last year, so we cannot even
Yeah,
say that Khabib ka era.
Khabib's
I would
era.
say we are living in Dagestani era, where people from
Yeah,
Dagestan are just dominating the sport.
true. We can say we are living the wrestlers era also, because the fighters who have a great wrestling background are doing it out there. So the champions, or
Hmm.
most of the champions, the flyweight champion at this moment is the great striker. But guys like Kamaru Usman, Charles Oliveira, lightweight champion, Usman, who's the welterweight champion, John Jones was a long time famous light heavyweight champion. He's definitely now vacated the belt. But these guys come from a wrestling background. At this moment, it's also about power. When you the How UFC's weight class usually work is, when you look at the guys low in the lower weights, you could easily find out, it's just those guys are about striking. But the moment you step up the weights, you go from 66, 70, 75 kg, 85, 90 kg. It's all about power. Francis Ngannou is not that technically
Hmm.
sound, but
Right.
he has the nukes in his hand. He has nuclear
Tremendous power,
weapons.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Oh, geez, if
He's
I'm
just
not
one
wrong,
shot.
his story was some like he was a bouncer, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I guess
Francis.
he also worked as a cleaner in his own gym also, because these guys were transported from their hometown to France, where he wasn't even, those people are not allowed there. But then he worked in a gym where people found him very strong, so they gave him opportunity to train there. And then people recognize at this moment he holds the record in the world, not just in the fighting industry, but in the world, for the most strongest punch a human being can throw.
Wow.
Yeah. So if
And
we
I
get
mean,
fit
I've
by
seen his physique. I've seen his physique. He's
uh,
like what 6'5", if I'm not wrong, 6 feet
yeah,
tall.
yeah,
And damn, I've seen him, and he's too. So I
too
can't
strong.
even comment over कि क्या कितना
Yeah.
tremendous human Hulk I would say in real life जो
uh,
Hulk होता है ना वो वाला है.
it's a famous
भाई.
quote. I don't know. It's in the MMA usually work, world we say, these are the people we would send to fight if aliens ever invade the planet. These are the people,
Uh,
fighters like, McGregor, Khabib, Francis Ngannou, John Jones. These are the frontline workers who would be working for world if ever aliens would invade our Earth.
right. Cameo, yeah, that's true. So have you are you aware of any famous Indian MMA fighter who has represented India in UFC or any other at an international level?
Yeah, the only fighter who ever got to the UFC from India was, his name is Bharat Kandhare. He fought, I guess you can, let's tell Dave to put it up. Let's pull it up.
Yeah, Dev,
I don't
can you
remember the.
pull up Google and search
I'm liking
Bharat
this. Dave
Kandare?
pull it up. It's just like the Jimmy's one in the Joe Rogan.
Right.
Yeah, he's the guy.
So he's played 1-5 and lost 3, 2 TKs.
Yeah, he fought in. Yeah, yeah, this is the fight which he fought against. Doesn't
Yeah,
have that
long.
much. He doesn't have a very appealing record, to be honest.
Hmm.
It's 5-3. But he entered into the UFC to, I don't know, God knows what reasons why he got so late into the UFC. Even he was a very good fighter. You could see his Brave record and SFL record. So he got this opportunities there, and he got selected in the UFC. But that was, maybe in the end of his career, where he lost that magic in his fighting by then. And he fought Song Yadong, who is a very, he's a now a true prospect in the UFC at this moment in the bantamweight category, who defeated Bharat in his debut fight. The fight wasn't the one to look forward to, because it was very one-sided. Bharat was
Hmm.
looking good in the beginning. He landed good leg kicks, but he wasn't looking very confident. He was kind of nervous because obviously it was the first fighter to represent,
It was the
first
first.
Indian based fighter. Actually, there is another guy named Arjun Singh Bhular who also fought in UFC, won few fights but lost consecutive fights. I guess that was he was released from UFC and then he went to ONE FC. Arjun Singh Bhular trains in the same gym where Khabib trains, aka California, and Arjun Singh now is the heavyweight champion of ONE FC. So that's a big thing. He's the first half Indian, half Canadian-based fighter, I guess. Arjun Singh Bhular, but he is the
Okay.
champion. Yeah, he proudly
So
represents India
what
also.
and what is the ONE FC that you're talking about? You told me that like there is UFC, there is ONE FC, and there is one more thing. What was that?
Yeah. There are few major organizations. It's ONE FC is Singapore based. It is as big as UFC, but it is just in Singapore based. It's not operating all over the world at this moment, but it has a great roster of many of the UFC fighters who were, drafted from UFC to ONE FC, even lost the fights to UFC or ONE FC fighters. So that you could
Wow.
see because that's a famous tagline catchphrase in MMA world, that is a UFC caliber. So UFC caliber is the highest caliber of MMA fighters you could ever get, but those fighters also went to ONE FC and lost fights. So that was a big thing for the ONE FC fighting championship because their fighters are really good. They could easily defeat the UFC fighters also. So
Wow.
that's the Singapore based. One is Bellator, which is UK based, most probably. Most of the fights happen in the United Kingdom, around Europe based around. But that is also, they have got great, most of the fighters who can't make it, can't make it big in the UFC, who make in the UFC, but somehow can't become champions. They go to the Bellator and they become champions there. It is pretty easy because their skill level is not as good as, their roster is not as talented as UFC's roster.
UFC.
And then there is also Asia's another organization called Brave FC, Brave Fighting Federation. I don't remember the exact name. Brave FC. So
Acha.
there are many Indian fighters who fight in Brave FC. The Indian fighters get a great chance to fight in Brave FC. Kamsat Chimaev, who is fighting in UFC 267 today night. He is also from Brave FC. So he won many of the fights is in the Brave, and he got the UFC opportunity. So any Indian fighters who wants to make it to the UFC, this is the path. You win fights in Indian organizations, you get somehow get to Brave, and if you make it good name in Brave, UFC immediately hires you from there. That's the thing.
Wow. But it's been like quite difficult as well, right? Because
Yeah,
the
and now
lack of
the
sponsorship and everything.
true. Now the only big prospect in India which everybody is looking forward to is Ritu Fogart, who is from the famous Fogart family. Everybody has watched Dangal movie. So she is one of the youngest sisters who has been wrestling all her life, but then tried to transcend it from wrestling to MMA and has transcended successfully, is undefeated. Lost one fight recently in ONE FC, but that, I guess, that has turned into no contest or something like that because the decision was overturned because it was very close and somehow her opponent was declared as the winner, but then she appealed it to the commission and then I guess no contested it, or I don't know, but she lost the fight. It was a tournament happening in ONE FC where she was, went from qualifiers to say quarterfinals and semifinals. So she lost, I guess, the quarterfinals, but the opponent who went ahead, Ritu also went ahead, even though she lost the fight. She's now fought just yesterday. She fought for the semifinals fight and she has won it. And now Ritu is into the finals of the ONE FC Atomweight Championship final of the women's division.
Wow.
Atomweight
So
is
Ritu Phogat is the one that we should be looking forward to.
looking forward to. We should be supporting her, rooting for her because she is the real deal at this moment. Far better than what Indian MMA male MMA fighters have represented in on the bigger scale. Ritu has not been like that. You can't just look at Ritu and say she should improve there. She is really good. She is getting better
Wow.
each and every fight. And she is
So
making her opponents look like newbies in her ring. She's giving it out to them.
wow. So her strength also lies in wrestling or
Wrestling, yeah.
striking.
No, she's a great wrestler. She has a good stand up also, but that stand up is just to support her wrestling, to just give it a start to, cut the gaps and get closer to the opponent. She uses her jab and punches, get into the range and then takes the opponent down and just is great on the ground. The ground and pound is very, her plus point where she is dominating most of her fights on the ground and pound.
Wow. So India is a huge prospect for the future
Yeah.
MMA.
Yeah, if she makes it to ONE FC, if she becomes champion and defends their belt, we might someday, because India can bring a great audience to UFC, and UFC Dynamite knows that. Many UFC superstars, have got great fan followings from India, so they know that India has an audience. Obviously, India has audience,
Hmm.
and India is a money making country. So if somebody knows how to make money out of India, and UFC finally gets the opportunity, they would definitely do events in India. And for that to come to India, they need an Indian champion or Indian fighter, so that Indian audience would easily get attracted. And Ritu
Right.
Phogat is the one who could do that for them. But for that, they have to get it from ONE FC, get her from ONE FC.
Hmm. Right. So, Raj, you yourself have been training at for a year for MMA, and you have also seen know about these players and their, I would say career as an MMA
Hmm.
fighter.
Hmm.
So, which are the very famous gyms in Mumbai or in India that people go to for practicing MMA? And you yourself, where have you
Yeah,
practiced?
I trained in Fight Elite MMA, which is in Andheri at this moment, and I also trained in Rebellious Gym, which is in Vasai and in Palkar, and it's in
Hmm.
sub towns. So these are two gyms where I went to train, and few famous gyms. The thing about gyms in India is actually truly it's they would just give you a push, but it's all on the fighters, because all the Indian fighters who you might even if you just say Indian MMA fighters, if you just search it, the people who
Hmm.
would pop up on the list aren't from any famous gyms. Being honest,
Okay.
they are not from any famous gyms. They're just average fighters who train under some average coaches, and they just made it. They just developed somehow. The coach and the student together had a great relationship, and then they together become a great prospects in India. That so the famous gyms are, I don't think so, are gonna play any role if you want to make it a career in MMA. The gym is
Hmm.
never gonna make you famous. It's the fighter who makes it. Nobody knew what SBI stands for in Ireland, but SBI is this Ireland's famous gym where Conor McGregor used to train. So it wasn't a famous gym, but it Conor McGregor who made it famous. So
Hmm.
that's the
So
same case
as
in
such
India.
the gym does not have a huge part to play in
No,
development of a player.
I don't think so. It's about your training partners, your coach, and it's the thing. You know how gyms play an important role. You can say it in other countries because those gyms are already famous. We can't say it in India because not a big famous fighter has come out of any of these gyms. You can't be saying, this fighter is from this gym or this fighter.
Hmm.
Those fighters came into those gym where they when they were already good fighters. So none of these gyms made anyone from the childhood. MMA has
Hmm.
just come into the Indian scene in last 5 years. So these fighters are already 30 years of age or 25, 30. So they must have come in these gyms or for 2025. Till then, they already had. Most of the Indian MMA fighters come from a karate background, Muay Thai background, Taekwondo background. This is how they are coming out. There's not a single MMA fighter in India who would say that I just started MMA as the first skill. They have started it from boxing, they have started it from kickboxing or karate or some other skills or wushu. They are so
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 is it like compulsory? So right now I am not training MMA, but I do intend to start my training. So is it mandatory to have some 1 or 2 years of karate or boxing and then
no,
do
it is
MMA,
not.
or directly we
No,
can
no.
do
You can
to?
just directly do MMA. You should just get into this game. If you want to learn it, just start MMA. If people who want to make it
Hmm.
career, so this MMA is filled with 8 main prior skills, which is karate, taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, judo, and wrestling. These are the 8 fundamental basics of MMA skills which everybody comes through. But even if you are not from any of this, you could just start learning MMA as an overall sport, and you would get to learn all of these 8 together. And while learning, you would find it is when I started learning, I always was fascinated. I wanted to knock somebody out, but eventually, when I started training, I realized that I am not one of those few people who have great power in my hand, but had a very flexible body. So I eventually got interest in BJJ, that is Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, where the submission games comes part. So I was like, I'm very good at submission. So I use those to win most of my fights. My wrestling and submission is what I used to, because I knew. So this is when you start training, you realize out of those 8 things, which one you are good at.
Right.
Most like there's a
So
famous fighter in India is Sumit Khade. So he's a great knockout artist because he is great at stand up. He's great at kicks because he has a previous martial arts background where he used to do karate or taekwondo. I don't remember exactly. So that's what he used to do. So he got that edge over other fighters because he already done that. But when you come into MMA, you have to be good at every single aspect. You should know basic of every single aspect, but just be really, really good at the famous thing of Khabib. Usually, how people put it out, Khabib is so good. So Khabib is actually good at everything. He's good at
okay.
boxing. He's good at wrestling. He's good at submission and everything. So what makes him? Everybody's like that. Every MMA fighter knows boxing, kickboxing, and every other things. But what Khabib is Khabib is good at boxing, good at kickboxing, good at BJJ, but he is great at wrestling. He's very, very good at one thing. Instead of being good at everything, he's very great at one thing. So that's what separates him. If you're gonna be in MMA match with him, his wrestling is always going to overpower you, no matter how good your boxing is. So that's how people should focus on getting. I'm not a big MMA, I'm not a very big champion or something, anything. I'm nothing in consider in front of all these guys from India, obviously. But I can definitely see I have watched MMA, watched UFC for a very long time. So after watching all these things, after being in part of this MMA community of MMA world, or this part of this MMA leagues all over the India, watching fights, now writing articles for them, seeing UFC for so many years, these are my observations. The gyms don't matter. It's all about you, how you fight, how you train. It's all individual game. MMA is an individual game where you just have to be good with your training partners, with your coach, and you just have to be determined. Don't get settled. This is the biggest mistake what Indian fighters are doing, is they're getting settled by the money they are getting. If they get, they come from, everybody comes from a poor background, but the moment they get 25,000 or 50,000, they become settled, and they're not going ahead with it. They should go ahead with it. They should seek, I'm getting 50,000 for a fight, but if I get into the UFC, I will get 8 lakhs for a fight, even if I lose. And if I won that fight with, just imagine if I just won the fight by knockout, I would get 35 lakhs rupees. That is
Wow, that's
just for a
such a
one
huge
match for
amount.
a beginner. Yeah, and you should you should just see that as a goal, and you should move ahead. But
Wow.
all these guys are also lacking is a push from some big authorities in India, which eventually they will get. Somebody's gonna come out and step up.
So
That's all I can say.
have you done jiu-jitsu as well in India?
Yeah. That's I learned MMA basically, where I learned BJJ professionally among the coaches.
Wow.
I learned up with them. So that was, I had a great
Hmm.
interest in it. It's a very great. Joe Rogan himself is a big
It's a black
jiu-jitsu
belt.
guy. Yeah, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he puts out. This is jiu-jitsu is very great at. It's a very great skill to learn. It's something different. It opens a different world for you. BJJ. So people who from Indian kids who want to start MMA, I'll just say, just you don't have to start from karate, you don't have to start from taekwondo if you want to make it in MMA. Just start in MMA, learn all those aspects, basics, be good at everything, but just try to be great at one thing you are really good at. You would, when you start training, you would find out, I'm good at kicking, I'm good at BJJ, I'm good at wrestling, but my boxing is better than everybody training around here. So I'll keep working on the other things also, but give the extra effort to that boxing. There are many,
Right.
I've been observing. I'm no one to talk about MMA in front of many other fighters in India or many other coaches, and no one in front of them. I'll be honest. But the way I have observed this sport for the last 5 years, observed MMA, how it works, how MMA fighters have been working. I'll give you a great example of a fighter. His name is Dominic Cruz. He's a former bantamweight champion. He's a two-time or three-time bantamweight champion. You look at the guy, he's lean. He has no power in his hands. He has no that knockout power. He would just knock you out in the one punch. No, he doesn't have a very great wrestling skills. Also, he's just good at one thing. But he brought a new aspect to the MMA in 2012. 15. Among that time, he was very much active in 13, 14. Is his footwork. He
Hmm.
had a great footwork. His footwork is what changed and brought a new game into the UFC. Is getting good at footwork. He had a very weird footwork that he used to come in, hit you, and used to get out, and you couldn't just hit him. He was very movemental. So that people have never focused in. People are like, damn, this is a new skill people brought up. And people, he won many fights. After that, he had a great record of 20-2 until he fought Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt is a guy who grew up watching Dominic Cruz. He was a young fighter. He grew up watching Dominic Cruz. He saw how Dominic defeated many of Cody's friends in UFC. So Cody figured it out what the pattern is. So he figured out is Dominic is just going to be moving around in the ring and going to make you miss the punches. What Cody used a game plan is he just stood his ground. He never moved with Dominic. People used to chase Dominic Cruz. That's why they used to lose. Cody Garbrandt didn't chase Dominic Cruz. He stood. He was like, you do all the dancing in the ring, and when you come to me, I'm gonna punch you. I'm not gonna come to punch you. When you would come to me, I'll. And he defeated Dominic Cruz in a very great manner.
Yeah.
He dominated Dominic Cruz, and he dominated Dominic Cruz at his own game. That's the thing.
Wow.
I don't know how people are not figuring out. In usually, this observation skill as an MMA fighter is one of the skills. If somebody, many of my friends who join MMA who tell me, give me some advice. If you obviously, I'm no one to give advice, but even if simple tips I can give, what I have learned is observation skills. You learn, you observe your training partner. These guys are doing something which you are not going to do, but something your opponent is doing. Observe these skills or watch all these UFC fights. Follow some fighters, follow some different fighters. You learn it.
Wow.
That's
That's
that's all I can
so,
say.
so much to learn from the sport as well.
Yeah,
So now I
and
have
this,
a last
yeah,
question I have for you.
yeah,
Who is your favorite fighter and why do you like the
yeah. That's a
fighter?
very tough question, I would say. Great way to end. My favorite fighter at this moment, I would, my favorite fighter has always been changing. I started with Conor McGregor. I then came to Khabib. Then,
Hmm.
all these guys. I love guys from each weight class, I would say. For me, it's always been fighters from different weight classes. I can't just judge everybody out of them. I'll
Hmm.
name everybody. Who I found really interesting is Max Holloway. If you have heard about him, he's the
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
former featherweight champion. He's one of my favorite fighters. I don't have one favorite. This Dominic Cruz guy I just referred previously, he's also one of my favorite fighters. There's the same guy TJ Dillashaw in bantamweight category. He's also really good fighter. I'll just name my favorite fighters in each weight class. That would be
Yeah, sure, sure.
easiest way for me to get out of this question, I guess. In flyweight category, there's this new guy who recently just came out. Is the current their flyweight champion is Brendan Moreno. So, Brent, I hope you have time for me because I'm gonna put up a new nice story about him.
Story. No, I mean, what do you want to do?
I just said ki I hope you have got time to listen this story.
Yeah, yeah, you can tell me. You can tell me the story. Yeah.
Yeah, so Brendan Moreno was cut from the UFC after losing few fights, and
Okay.
he lost many fights in UFC. Came like lost 2-3 in consecutive manner, and UFC removed him. And then few years back, he was again rehired after he won few fights in another organization, and now from there he just become a champion. So he has seen a very different journey in UFC. A guy who was
Hmm.
released just 3-4 years ago and now is the current champion. Very great guy, very decent guy, has a great fighting IQ, which is very important to become an MMA fighter, to understand how the game works. You shouldn't be fighting as according to your fight opponent because that's his plan. Never fight with your opponent's plan. Make him fight with your plan. He's a good guy. Bantamweight category, I would say Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw were the best. They both copied each other's footwork and they brought this footwork thing in the MMA because nobody previously gave. There's a famous boxer named Canelo Alvarez and Vasil Lomachenko, I guess his name is Vasil Lomachenko. So these are guys who are known for their footwork. So in
Hmm.
MMA, there was nobody who was new from their footwork. So Dominic Cruz and TJ are the guys who are known for their footwork. Best featherweight, I would say Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. Those guys are the best. Max Holloway brought this new thing into the MMA game is even though if you don't have much power in your hands, if I can't knock you out with one punch, I'll hit you 10 times. Maybe after the 10th punch, you might go down. That's his. He just hits you with volume. Same lightweight Khabib always. In welterweight, I'll say George St. Pierre is one of my favorite. He is, for me, according to me, is the greatest fighter of all time in the UFC. That guy,
Wow.
he gave everybody the toughest fight, and he has the best IQ, I guess, among the fighters. The way he used to set traps, the way he used to fight his opponents, the way he used to study. MMA fighters really, I don't know, are they studying, or some fighters, just go out there, listen to their coaches, but when they get into the fight, they forget the game plan and just start banging around each other. But some fighters really stick to their coaches, what they advise, and they make it to the big stage. At middleweight, I guess Israel Adesanya is looking good, but I'll always choose Robert Whittaker over Israel Adesanya because Robert Whittaker is very, very decent guy, to be honest, and he doesn't do much trash talking. They are supposed to, Israel and Robert are supposed to fight again now. They are targeted for a rematch.
268, UFC 268.
No, it's not in UFC 216. It's going to come up next year. The fight is not yet
Okay.
announced, but UFC is targeting that fight. The reports are out. And in the light heavyweight, it's always been John Jones. He's among the top 3 of all times but just he has done some very weird stuff in his personal life that has always got him into trouble. We don't want to talk about that.
Yes.
And in heavyweight, I'll say Daniel Cormier. Daniel the DC Cormier. You must have heard about it. Is a Khabib's best friend in the AKA gym. Daniel
Cormier.
No,
I haven't.
Yeah,
I have to look it up.
Definitely check him out. Yeah, he's among the few double champions in the UFC. He was the light heavyweight and the heavyweight champion at the same time. Only few people have done that. So he's a great guy. So this is my list of favorite fighters.
Wow, so you have favorite for each and every weight class.
Every weight category, yeah, because
that's what that's this the way you answered this question is what tells that you're a real fan. Because if you ask a random person, okay, who is your favorite MMA player, they'll blindly say either Khabib or Conor. ये दो के अलावा वो भूल जाते हैं कि there are weight classes as well, and there in those weight classes there are those special players as well who are really good at one particular aspect. I mean, Raz, thank you for doing this, and
I thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk with. I would never shy away from talking about MMA. That's my thing. That's how I earn money also.
But I'm glad we did this, and I got to learn a lot from you. I mean, in the first, this is the second episode, but the amount of details that you have given me is really, I have to do my homework now. That's what I'm feeling. मुझे मेरा homework करना पड़ेगा, and certainly by the time by the next time you come, we'll have more and more contribution from my side as well.
I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
But really great conversation, man. So I'm stopping the recording now, but don't leave the meeting.